I just came across an amazing post on the entrepreneur subreddit. As you know, I'm a fan of failures. I'm a fan of making mistakes and failing because that is where the best lessons are. It's failing. You fail and fail and fail, and you learn what doesn't work and what doesn't work and what doesn't work, and then you learn what works after lots of trial and error. Okay, this is a post that's called Mistakes I Wish I Hadn't Made After Building 30 Startups. That's the name of the post. I've already sent this to 2 friends because it's so good. And there are 20 mistakes in here, and I have experience with a lot of these mistakes. I would say right now in my life, I am at pretty much the best point in my career, actually. And that is because I learned from all of the mistakes that I am about to share with you. So here it goes. I built 30 startups in 20 years, venture capital backed, bootstrapped, apps, SaaS, B2B, B2C. 20 mistakes I regret making. Here they are. Number 1, doing consumer apps. The failure rate here is 100 times of B2B rates, nearly a lottery. While that is true, I will just say this guy, and he actually talks about SEO later, he doesn't know about bottom of funnel search engine optimization. Dude doesn't know about compact keywords. And if he did, he'd realize that there are lots of high traffic B2C keywords for software or whatever it is that you could target that are not competitive, that will bring lots of users, and you can work on converting those users and then putting in different viral growth mechanisms. And this is something that I have personal experience with, which is why I know that's true. So I do agree that B2B is way easier than B2C, way easier than B2C, because the most lucrative requests that we get are from businesses. But I wouldn't say it's 100x, and I wouldn't say it's impossible to breach. But you do need to be a little bit more tactical with it. Okay, number 2, raising VC money. I felt like Mark Zuckerberg when we raised our first round. All journalists interviewing us felt like a dream. Eventually, most of these startups failed by being funded too early. I know lots of founders who got effed by VCs, and then I know other founders who did not and who have great investors and they love their investors, but you gotta have a good lawyer. When you take on VC money, you gotta have a good lawyer. Okay, number 3, hiring too early. Previously, startups took pride in large teams, a key sign of growth back then. Founders should do most of the work until product market fit. Employees and contractors won't have enough love and passion for your project. I have experienced that myself. I used to always be eager to hire and to bring on new people, and it is so true. Employees and contractors won't have enough love and passion for your project. You need the people who are willing to put in the extra hours and who will think about something all day long, who will just go on walks and be thinking about your company or the job that they're trying to do. Somebody where the company takes up a large portion of their top of mind awareness. It's just on their mind, trying to make the best decisions. And those people are the people who have a stake in the company. So yeah, hiring too early, big mistake. Number 4, I love this one, ignoring SEO. None of the people in my network did search engine optimization. We all thought it was something for late and we kept postponing it forever. So I said, this guy doesn't really know power of SEO. It seems like now he's learning, but yeah, great lesson. Number 5, ignoring content marketing. Never took blogging seriously, big mistake. Content marketing, I love content marketing. I'm always talking about it. Number 6, social media marketing. This is my biggest regret. This is this person's biggest regret and probably my biggest regret. This person says, this is my biggest regret. I started using Twitter just a year ago. I have 20,000 followers now after putting a year into it. What if I started 20 years ago? Could I have 1 million followers now? Perhaps. In 2020, I was living in Minsk and I remember reading a long article about how great TikTok is and how every brand should be on TikTok. And I said, that's cool. And then I just forgot about it. I focused on other things. And then at the beginning of 2022, very beginning, my friends started telling me you should be on TikTok. And I ignored it up until November of 2022. And I started my TikTok November 2022. I haven't missed a day of posting since. Now I have almost 90,000 followers on TikTok, almost 50,000 on Instagram. I get crazy opportunities literally every day. And I turn down crazy opportunities literally every day. And something that I think about is, what if I had started when I read that article about TikTok in 2020? How big would I be now? So that's actually a mistake that I made. I always thought that I needed to have other people as the influencers and I was managing them, I never thought that I could be the character myself. And then I said, I'm just going to F around and find out, trying to promote my companies. And then I found out that I actually loved being in front of the camera and I could do it. So that was a big mistake that I made as well. Number 7, skipping idea validation. I would always assume for the audience, anticipate what they need. It almost never turned out to be true. My best projects were those I thought will fail, and failed projects had my highest hopes from the start. I've talked about this before. Talk with users. When I launch my product soon, I'm going to be talking with all the customers, finding out what I need to add and what I need to change. Talk with users and customers. Number 8, hiring managers. I haven't seen any useful manager in a startup. They might be useful for corporations, but for a startup, I should have hired only doers. Number 9, chasing investors. For every startup, I'd spend 40% of my time fundraising. I'd succeed in most of the cases, but at what cost? I haven't done a single outreach to investors in 2 years, but I get VCs knocking on my doors because I have good traction and they search for projects daily. I want to share an experience that I had this week. A friend of mine is an executive at one of the most well-known, biggest publications in the world. And he said to me, I have a great network of people. I want to fundraise for you and then be part of the company. And I can get that done in weeks. And he really could. He is a big deal. He could close a several $million-dollar round very, very easily. And he wanted to do that for me. And this is what I said to him. I said, several years ago, I was obsessed with fundraising and chasing investors. And now I don't know if I need it anymore. Because like I said, I've doubled down on myself and on my own marketing, which is a personal belief of mine. I've always said this to friends. Instead of spending months and months and months trying to fundraise, spend those months and that energy on doing marketing and investors will come to you. And that's basically what I did. I spent my time building my content funnel, posting on social media, working on my site, working on my articles, and people want to invest now. And I am not chasing them. They are coming to me. And I have leverage, I have opportunity, and I am now the buyer, not the seller. So I really like this lesson number 9. Number 10, hiring specialized developers. There is nothing less efficient than a team of specialized developers for a startup. Today, I have one full stack developer doing 5 times more progress on a project than a team of 12 back then. Avoid teams at all costs. I've experienced this one as well. Number 11, hiring people I don't want to hug. My co-founder, an old Danish man, said this to me in 2015. If you don't want to hug the person, it means you dislike them on a chemical/animal level. I really agree with that. Number 12, betting on partners. I partnered up with large billion-dollar corporates many times with different startups. They promise huge stuff, millions of users, but end up just wasting your time, destroying focus, shifting priorities, making you spend zillions on ramping up security and compliance, no users, and no money. I was talking with a friend today. I asked him how this company that he spent a lot of work on over the last year was going. And he said, it is a dead project. My partner disappeared. I helped someone out recently, I helped somebody else out recently with a product hunt launch. And then I found out that product no longer exists. And I asked the person what happened. Person said, and this was literally this same week that my friend said this, that person's co-founder stole all the IP and disappeared. I just personally have found the biggest success when I've bet entirely on myself and when I don't need to depend on anybody else. I'm a big fan of betting on yourself. I think finding reliable partners is like playing the lottery. People will promise stuff and people will seem like a good fit. And some people are, really some people are, because I know lots of successful founders, but you might have different working priorities and preferences to those people. But the truth is, at the end of the day, finding a great co-founder who you agree with on every fundamental level, who can put in the same hard work that you put in, and in many cases work for nothing until there is success, that is playing the lottery. And my personal belief is you are better betting on yourself. Number 13, shiny objects. I fell for crypto hype, got super rich, then lost it all. Years wasted. Almost got depressed by seeing how scammy and greedy humans can be, even my own partners. Shiny object syndrome, I've talked about this before. That's basically what I say, like every episode. People just spend many years bouncing from shiny object to shiny object, trying to find the biggest thing, and they would have been so much better off if they had stuck with that one thing. I feel that way about myself. Everyone I know who is killing it now, they are killing it because they decided to stick with things long term. And that decision is what makes them kill it. So yeah, hate shiny object syndrome. Number 14, holding on to a bad project for too long. I kept believing in projects after years of no traction. I thought that one day something magic would happen and things would go up. It was just a waste of time. I disagree with that one unless you have a co-founder who is not doing their work. But I think if you are doing something and it's all up to you, you can make anything work if you don't need to depend on other people. You can try so many different angles on social media. You can do bottom of funnel SEO, which will work. But if you have investors and you're diluted, it might not be worth it. And if you have co-founders and they're not working, then it might not be worth it. But if it's just up to you, I think anyone can make anything work. I think I've talked about this before. One of my close friends, 10 years ago, he started a company about streaming music on YouTube for pets. And if you asked anyone 10 years ago, is this a good idea for a business? They would probably all say no. And anyway, the guy just sold his company. It was all his. He just sold his company for tens of millions of dollars, just stuck to it, just year after year, stuck to it, put in the work year after year, put in the work. And over the summer, we were having lunch in New York, sold his company tens of millions of dollars. So just stuck with it. But it would probably seem like a bad idea for lots of other people. So if something is entirely your own, I don't think it's a bad project, but it might require lots of different angles for marketing. Number 15, we're almost done. Went to tech conferences. It's a total waste of time. Most people there are the good employees of corporations who are sent there as a perk for being loyal to the corporation. I agree with this one so much. I will say you can meet some pretty great people at tech conference parties. The conferences themselves are usually a waste. The parties, you will meet good people. But if you know how to do good inbound organic marketing, you don't need anybody else. So then just go to those parties for fun. Number 16, Scrum is a scam. If I had a team that had to be nagged every morning with questions as if they were children in kindergarten, then things would eventually fail. The only good stuff I managed to do happened with people who were grown-ups and could manage their stuff on their own. We would just do everything over chat as a sync on goals and plans. Number 17, outsource development and marketing. The vendors were good, but the outcome was not good. Startups are so difficult that there is almost no chance someone from the outside can do a good job for them. I mostly agree with this. I will say the exception is if the vendor is a long-term vendor, as in for years, and they work very closely with the team. But at that point, they're pretty much like employees. But that's the exception. Number 18, started with a free tier in B2B. Free projects attracted totally the wrong crowd who gave feedback that was only relevant to please the rest of the free crowd. But paid users turned out to be very different and have different needs. A few times I started with no free and had no sales, so later I added a free version, but this was a mistake too. If nobody wanted to pay for my product, I have to fix the product or find another audience for it. The exception here is if you have a free tier that allows people to share your product, and so people will share your product and then you will get backlinks. This person said that number 4, person ignored SEO for too long, so person probably doesn't realize that, but free tiers can be great for getting backlinks. And then you can do bottom of funnel SEO to target the power users and put in features for them that they will pay for. And you can gate those features in different ways. Number 19, code from scratch. I actually talked about this on a recent episode. Person said, my team would spend the first 3 months coding basic things like auth, admin panel, CRUDs, and etc. It was a huge waste of time. The moment I started using boilerplates, the speed went up 10x. And then number 20, spent little time with my friends and family. I worked way too much, didn't take holidays at all. It was very destructive to my creativity. Once I started having some time off, I became way more creative. That's it. That's the post. This is episode 304 of The Edward Show. This is my daily growth hacking and growth marketing podcast. Failures and mistakes are very valuable. I hope we can all learn from these. I've learned from these, and I hope you listening and watching will learn from these too. Thank you so much. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.